Is there anywhere on earth perfect freedom, sorrow's dearth, selfless friendship, blameless birth? Cherish this, naught else has worth. Our reading from the Gita today is one that all of us know very well, and is something that all the time gets quoted during Kriya initiations for those who have taken Kriya. Is verse chapter 2, stanza 40. And Krishna's talking. In this path of yoga action, there is no danger of unfinished business, nor are there latent within it the opposite, cancelling effects of duality. Even a little practice of this religion will free one from dire fears and colossal sufferings, which are inherent in the unceasing cycles of death and rebirth. There is a story in the Indian scriptures of a vast lake. And it is said that in that lake, there is a bird that comes and takes a single drop of water and then flies away. And that bird comes every 5,000 years to take one drop and go. And it is said that the amount of time that it will take that bird to empty the lake of all the water doesn't begin to describe the amount of time that it takes the soul to find God, to find liberation. Now imagine that. It's a little discouraging in a way. But we must go through it, and most of us don't even remember what happened anyway. Like each life is a new beginning and we have no idea what happened before or how many lives we have lived before. So in that way it doesn't matter so much to us. But also, you can imagine that in all these incarnations, these millions, billions of incarnations, we have all accumulated a lot of unfinished businesses. That is why we all are here. And it is not it is a bad thing, but it is not an uncommon thing, you could say, because unless any of us is an avatar, we all have some unfinished business. We all have some karma, something that is tying us here, some desire that still has not been fulfilled, that still some energy that has not come back, you could say, that energy we put out and it has not been nullified. And it's interesting because even a Jivan Mukta, who is already free from ego, still has karma, still has to finish his business, but of course they don't create any more karma, which is a wonderful thing. But still, we all have it. There is no way around it right now. There is a way around it, but we all have it. That's the point. And here, Krishna is talking that in this path of yoga, there is no danger of unfinished business. That in yoga, it's a yoga being the scientific way to God, but you could say by extension in the spiritual path, in any true spiritual path, in any spiritual action that we perform, there is no danger of us committing some energy outward that will then have to bounce back to us. That the whole point of yoga is to nullify all those vortices, and as well as for us to put the right kind of energy out that will help us finish all our business, you could say. One time Yogananda said to Swami Kriyananda and some other monks that every little desire has to be fulfilled or has to be gone in order for us to find liberation, the final liberation. And Swami Kriyananda, hearing this, Master, even a fleeting desire that I may have had when I was 6 years old of an ice cream cone, something that has been forgotten, that it was just a little thing that passed away in a second perhaps. Even that has to be finished. And Yogananda said, oh yes, everything has to go. And then again, that can be very discouraging to hear that, but it is not. Because we, of course, don't remember all of our desires, all the things, all the energy that we have committed, except sometimes, or very often, they come back to us in the way of our samskars. That every one of us has come to this world with either a set of skills or a set of dislikes and likes and this and that. And honestly, those are the only things that most of us remember from our past lives, that they don't come randomly. This is some of the baggage that we bring with us. So to some degree, we all remember something of our past life because there's something that still has not been fulfilled. And sorry, I forgot what I was going to say. Anyway, it doesn't matter right now. It will come back to me. But we all have this baggage with us. And it is not necessary for us, meaning that does it mean this path of yoga doesn't create any unfinished business? What does that really mean? Does it mean that now we have a guru, now we have a set of practices, now everything we do will be holy and we have nothing to worry about? Of course not. It will not be that simple, and so many horrible things have been done in this world in the name of religion, in the name of God. And that makes you think, and makes me think many times, what about our seva? The kind of seva that we do, because yes, meditation is one part of our path, it's a very important part of our path, and whatever we feel in meditation, whatever true joy we feel in meditation, true love, true expansion, it has no duality. That is perfect in itself. And Yogananda said, when ecstasy comes, everything goes. That even, I remember what I was going to say now, that even all those little desires that we used to have, that we have no idea are there, when ecstasy comes, they will all go. But also, we all realize that through our samskars, through our current tastes and inclinations, we all have come to this earth with one particular thing, 2, 3, 5 very strong desires or very strong attachments or very strong tendencies that we really had to work on. That those are the main ones that we should probably focus upon, because those are the ones that if we don't take care of them, they can really, you could say, bring us down in the spiritual path, in our quest for God, and they may be the ones preventing us the most from achieving that salvation that we are looking for. So, when we meditate, we have to offer them up, but also, it is not enough to say, oh yes, I have this fault, it's fine. It is fine, because we have it, but it doesn't mean we don't have to put conscious energy, conscious effort to also nullify those. Remember, karma, yoga, seva, all the energy we put in these things is so that we put a different flow of energy, that we cancel out all the things that are preventing us from the spiritual path, from finding freedom from ego. And it makes you think about seva many times, because most of us here do some sort of seva or the other. And sometimes it's very hard to understand the point. Many of us sometimes have to do things we don't really feel in tune with necessarily. And what about them? Sometimes it is very easy to do them very monotonously. But we had to understand that seva and any kind of work, even if we have a family that we have, is a blessing that has come to you, and you should use all those things very consciously to nullify these samskaras, these past unfinished business that we are bringing with us. Because when you are in the spiritual path, it is true that God will put you to the test even more. That I am very grateful that I know very quickly when I do something wrong, that something is going to come to let me know of that, or something will come back to me in my body in the form of sickness or whatever it may be, and I know it is because I have done something wrong. And we should always look at these things as blessings, because as long as we have these things coming to us means we are purifying ourselves. That Yogananda said we should be able to see pain of any kind as purification, and we always should use them to free us from those past karmas. So it is very important for us to always be on the lookout. Yes, we have little desire for certain kinds of food, especially for, this, that. Okay, not a problem. Work strongly on those main pillars that are preventing you from deep meditation, that are preventing you from doing your seva joyfully, because the attitude in which we bring to all these practices is really what counts. And you will see that all these little things will go away. I, for one, I used to have this strong tendency, desire, like to watch football. I really like football, and I used to follow my national team, Uruguay, in all its games. And it was something I really, really enjoyed. And I still enjoy if I watch a game of football, but I not watched one in years now. It's just because you discover that there are more important things. That desire just goes away in its own. When the World Cup comes now in July, probably I'm going to watch 1 or 2 games if Uruguay advances. But still, it's not something that is, a craving of the heart. That energy doesn't go out anymore in that way. And so it is with all our little desire, with all our unfinished businesses, that if we do our practices, if we follow this path of yoga in the right way, they will all go. Recently, we were in Rishikesh, Shamini and I. We just came back from Delhi, but we had 2-3 days or so in Rishikesh. And we were staying at the Shivananda ashram there. And there is a particular Swami called Swami Chidananda, who is passed away now. But Swami Kriyananda used to have great, great respect for him. He said he was the monk that he respected the most in India. So that tells you quite a bit. Anyway, it was a lovely place. And there was a certain quote of Shivananda there that really touched me very deeply. And it's something we all know. But he said, in the morning when you wake up, think of God. At night before going to bed, think of God. All through the day, fill yourself with thoughts of God. That is the way to God. Isn't it that beautiful? Really? That's what we need in the spiritual path. Every moment of every second, really, we should be having our mind up in the sky. As Yukteswar said, mind high above, feet on the ground. Even while we are doing our seva, or so-called seva, that we should always be thinking of God. We should always try to express that joy within us. And then, only then, it is no danger of unfinished business. If not, yes, we create some good karma, but spiritually, it's not so meaningful. Good karma will not get us to God. Joy, love, expansion, that will get us to God. And that is what we all need to develop more and more by following these things and by always keeping the company of the divine inside us. Now I'll invite Shamini to talk also a little bit.
It's so wonderful to be back here with everyone. As Bara was saying, we were traveling for 2 to 3 weeks. I met some really old friends who I haven't met for a long time. We had a little reception in Delhi and family. But coming back to your spiritual family is just right up there. So wonderful to be back. Speaking of, as Krishna said, in the path of yoga, and I wanted to start with something very charming that I was seeing of Master in one of his videos, and he was explaining, and he was just starting with saying, yoga is not magic. It is not crystal gazing. It is actually something that has been brought to us and discovered by the ancient sages. And it is by us understanding that, by tuning into that we can live for many, many years, he said about over 100 years, in perfect health, success, and happiness. And in a sense, this unfinished business, as Bara was saying, it is, everybody's always looking for some kind of answers outside. That's what we keep chasing for, right? And that success, that happiness that we keep searching for. And then all of a sudden you come to the path of yoga, and we have our teachings. We have Yogananda ji, who has brought these teachings of the ancient sages and put it into such a simple way that we're able to just make it a part of everything in our lives every day. And how fortunate we are And this is something I wanted to share from our experience, when we were in Delhi. And so I had a few very old dear friends from childhood who visited, and cousins. People, especially one friend, she was like my best friend in school, and we grew up together. So in a sense, she's been a big part of who I've become. We all have those few people who've made a deep impression on us, as we were children and things. So she had a big impression on me. And ever since I came to Ananda about 6 years ago, just because of circumstances, I wasn't able to keep in touch with her, and she lives in another country. So I was just very curious, because I knew she was coming for our reception, and we had 2 days. So I was very curious, but also very eager. I was like, I have to tell her all about this and my journey, and all the questions I had. And then I found Ananda and all about Ananda. Oh my God, how am I gonna do it in 2 days? And it's just gonna be, so I had this whole thing going on in my head. And I was so grateful, one, because there was lots of guru bhais we had over there, and of course having some conversations with Bara and her, and they were able to ask a lot of questions. And I just realized, it was, in a sense, they have busy lives, corporate lives. They live in Dubai, so you can imagine it's high pace, very stressful. But deep down inside, they're asking the same questions that I used to ask before I came to Ananda. What is all this? Like, why am I running every day? Where are we running? Where is everyone running? It's just like, and to what? For what? No? And she was just saying, I have these conversations all the time with my partner, like, how do I just find peace? That's all I want. I just want to be happy. Where do we find that? And so I was so grateful to just be able to sit down and have, a rich, meaningful conversation. Even if it was from, if you look at it, 6 years on the path, a little bit of meditation, even a little practice of this religion, which it was, but there's already so much to share, and the best part of it all, having all of us there, we had a chance to sing them a few songs and a few chants, and people perceive it, like there's no need to so much say things. I'm sure all of you have experienced that. They perceive that there's something greater. There's a sense of positivity. There's a joy that's tangible. They get inspired by that. And so in a sense, you become examples of that, and you're able to share that. So I was so grateful for that. And, of some years ago, someone visited Ananda, and then they just said to Swami Kriyananda, you have some wonderful people here. And Swamiji's response was that if you have a few people like that, then you could say that, yeah, they're wonderful people. But if you have many people who are harmonious and compassionate, kind, then you have to say it's what they're doing that makes them that way. And another, which was a little, in my mind, a little funny, someone once asked him that is the prerequisite before you accept people into Ananda that they have to be beautiful. And Swamiji's response was so wonderful. He just said, no, but they become beautiful, because beauty is a thing from the inside, is what he would say. And so just like that, he understood through that the truth is something that is not of the mind, it's not a mental concept, it's not something physical, it's an inner reality. So beauty, harmony, compassion, kindness, these are truths which people perceive in us as we start on this path of yoga, which people perceive as we start, and then we start becoming channels of that without needing to talk about it or share it verbally, as you would have all seen. And so it is after we come to this journey and this path of yoga, we realize, many people are always searching, what's the purpose of my life? What's the purpose of my life? And then you go here, you go there, as we're saying, too many unfinished businesses, so to say. And you come onto this path and we realize the only purpose is to experience God in ourselves, love God, and then share His joy, His love with everybody you meet. And how beautiful, because that just perfectly ties the thread together. It picks it up by the right string, in a sense, no? And, I was having this little extra point which I wanted to share with you, where we were walking through the airport. And, there are so many shops, especially in Terminal 3 in Delhi, if you've ever been. It's just like so many shops, and you can just get pulled into so many directions. And I get very excited by some of those things. And so we were walking through, and luckily our flight was delayed by an hour. So there was this one shop, and I just kind of magnetically went into that shop, and it was Hamleys, which is a children's toy store. So I was like in there, and then it was just so much fun. And what pulled us was there were these sales agents. They were standing at the entrance of the shop, and they had little games. Like one of them was throwing something, I don't even know what it was, and it was coming back, and a boomerang of some sort. And then there were some guys on a little rollerblade, roller skating around, and they were doing all these fun things. And as you walked in, what was so charming, they were like, come buy something, which most salespeople do. They were like, come have fun with us. And so it was that fun that they were having. It was so contagious, and everybody was becoming childlike in that shop. They were all kind of, playing those little fish fetching games, if you've played and all. We're just remembering your childhood, basically. And we had all these adults standing there doing these little games. It was so cute. But I was just thinking as we left from there, I mean, playing games on the outward level, and that's one kind of fun and joy. But, once we found the answer to what is the purpose of all this, and we found these teachings that fill us so deeply, then why not also have fun with them, right? Why not bring that kind of fun, that joy, and make it really a part of every aspect of our lives? Because that's what's contagious. That's what people see. Then it pulls people into that experience. And if you look at all the talks of Swamiji, he was, young, and when he was younger, he would just be sitting there in a satsang, but it wouldn't be a formal discourse. He would be with his guitar, and he would just be playing his song, and it was completely a part of his being. Then he would ask the audience, one more song, and they would say, yeah, and he would just go. But he was, of course, sharing something so much higher, the experience of God and the love of God. And so, so that's basically what I was just wanting to, and, just trying to see if we can bring these teachings, this joy, into every single thing of our lives, not just our meditation, not just, our seva alone, but every aspect. Bring that fun into it, make it a part, dynamic, make it alive. That's what people see, and that's how we become lights, and we become kind of role models, examples of how to live a life of this path of yoga, which kind of sets for everybody else, where are we going? What are we doing with all this? And in a sense, that's the truth that kind of binds everything together and brings us in. And as they promise, even a little practice of this, it will bring us above and rise above all the challenges, all the stress, all the suffering, all that just disappears. So.